Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Good Orderly Direction, Practical Tools of the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite chapters, Matthew chapter 5, the Beatitudes. I'm your host, Dr. Donnelly Snipes. The Beatitudes begin when Jesus ascends and is talking to his disciples. And he says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And it's important to think, what does the poor in spirit mean? In this context, he's saying, blessed are those who are not arrogant, those people who are humble, who are repentant, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And this is a time when he's saying it's important to really be aware of what you have done, the good and the bad. And if you are repentant, if you are humble enough to look and go, yeah, I'm not perfect, then the kingdom of heaven is yours. You are going to be able to live happier if you're able to recognize your faults and work on them. Blessed are the people who mourn, because they will be comforted. And here again, this is sort of a progression. He's saying, all right, you recognize that you've done some things wrong. What did you do? Now, you're mourning. You feel bad for what you have done, as well as for the wickedness of the world. So you're mourning the fact that we are not all following good, orderly direction. And this is sort of Jesus's way of saying, looking at how you're acting right now, how's that working for you? And us saying, it's not working very well. We feel bad about the way things are going. Now, we're not meant to stay sad. We're not meant to stay in a state of unpleasant feelings. But in order for us to change, we have to be motivated. And I had a mentor when I was in graduate school who said, change causes crisis and crisis causes change. And it's true. We do not tend to be motivated to change or to try new things unless we are uncomfortable staying the same. So verse 4 is basically helping us highlight that if we are looking at our behavior and it makes us uncomfortable, then we may be willing to explore other options. Which takes us to verse 5. Blessed are the people who are meek, because they will inherit the earth. Now, we tend to think that the powerful inherit the earth, but Jesus says, no, that's not it. What is he meaning? Blessed are the people who are submissive to good, orderly direction, who follow God's will, because they will inherit the earth. Oh, okay. So if we start thinking about good, orderly direction, being prudent, working earnestly, being respectful of yourself and others, being forgiving, having courage, having endurance in what we do, having compassion, being truthful and selfless, all of those behaviors, that good, orderly direction, can help us unite with others. That helps us create a community, create support that will help us inherit the earth. And so in verse 5, we are starting to understand that, hey, what we're doing right now isn't working for us so well. Maybe there's a better way. Verse 6, blessed are the people who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will be filled. Self-explanatory. Ta-da! If we start to look at Scripture, if we start to study Scripture, we start to see some of the directives. We see some of the ways that we're supposed to be living, and it provides us information, and it quenches that thirst. It quenches our desire for options or alternative ways of acting and reacting that might lead us to a happier, more abundant life. Now, verse 7 switches a little bit. Now we start talking about how we treat one another. Blessed are people who show mercy, because they will receive mercy. And I want you to think about how that works in your own life. When we show mercy to others, then when we need mercy, they are more likely to show it back. If we are merciless to people, then when we are struggling, they probably look at us and go, good luck, you weren't there for me. And it's important to recognize that. And the Bible, Scripture, good orderly direction says sometimes we have to make the first move. Even if people have been merciless towards us, sometimes we need to be merciful first in order to get the ball rolling. Blessed are the people who have pure hearts, because they will see God. Another way of saying this, blessed are people who are compassionate or unselfish, because they will see the benefits. They will see the fruition of good orderly direction. When you're compassionate and unselfish, when you are giving, then people give back. When you are merciful, then people are merciful back. When you are compassionate, people are compassionate back. So when you start doing these things, it comes back to you in exponentially. You are kind to one person, that's probably going to send a message, and then multiple people will be kind back to you. So it's not necessarily even a one-on-one. So we see this exponential multiplication of abundance as we start to follow good orderly direction. Verse 9, blessed are people who make peace, because they will be called children of God. It's easier a lot of times to be argumentative, to fight, to demand we get our own way. The peacemakers are the ones who are slow to anger. They are quick to listen. They behave with integrity. They are forgiving and truthful. All of those things that we talk about in good orderly direction. That helps create peace. It helps create an environment where people work together instead of becoming more divisive. This means those of us who try to make peace will be seen as people who operate within good orderly direction, people who are trying to bring us all together, people who are trying to be loving, people who are children of God, followers of God, or followers of good orderly direction. And finally, 10, blessed are the people whose lives are harassed because they are righteous, because the kingdom of heaven is theirs. And we might say, blessed are the people whose lives are harassed because they're righteous, because abundance is theirs. Following God, following good orderly direction, whichever way you want to conceptualize it, isn't easy. No matter how you conceptualize it, it ain't easy. Many other people are going to see you. They're going to look at you and maybe critical because they don't understand. Or maybe they're jealous, but we'll say they don't understand why you make the choice to go against the prevailing trends. They think this is the way it should be, and you're following Scripture. You're following good orderly direction. You're actually behaving in ways that are prudent and compassionate and truthful and meek and selfless. And they may not understand this because that may go against the way they're behaving. And so it may make them feel uncomfortable, or it may go against the way they're behaving and they don't understand why you would choose anything differently. They may not understand the choice to be happy and grateful. A lot of people in our culture live with the mantra, I will be happy when. I will be happy when I get this house. I will be happy when I get this job. I will be happy when. And those who follow God, good orderly direction, they're grateful, they're prudent, they're aware of now. And instead of saying, I will be happy when, they say, I will be happy. And that is mind-blowing to a lot of people who think that happiness comes from power. Happiness comes from physical attractiveness. Happiness comes from money. Happiness comes from something else. And they have a hard time conceptualizing happiness coming from the moment. Happiness coming from what is. They may not understand your choice to not serve two masters. And we haven't gotten there yet in Scripture. But Jesus says you can't serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money. You've got to choose. And when you follow God, when you follow good, orderly direction, sometimes you're going to make choices that are not as financially profitable. However, they are more profitable in terms of your spirit, in terms of your soul, in terms of your overall abundance and positioning, if you will. And they may not understand the choice to delay gratification for a greater reward. Our society is very focused on immediate gratification. What is going to make me feel really good right now? What is going to help me escape from feeling really bad right now? And instead of giving in to immediate gratification and going, this will help me right now, we say, all right, yeah, that might help me feel better right now, but is it going to help me move toward abundance? Is doing this right now going to help me move toward my rich and meaningful life? Is doing this right now going to help me move toward God? Only you can answer that. How does following God help you create heaven on earth? And yes, following God may help you pave your way to heaven as well. But think about, how does following good, orderly direction help you create a environment right around you? You know, you may not be able to change the world, but how do you change your little corner of the world to make it more loving, to make it more supportive, to make it more awe-inspiring, to enhance the things that are there for you to be grateful for?